And now, broadcasting from deep behind enemy lines in the occupied territory of the Socialist Republic of California, your host, former California State Assemblyman and Governor candidate, Tim Donnelly.
Hey, it's going to be a busy day here on the Radio Free California Network. We've got two great guests coming up. Adele Nazarian talking about the hypocrisy and the complete invasion of privacy on college campuses. She's got an article out at Breitbart.com on a USC situation that will make you go, never did things like that when we were in college. The intrusive questions and the fictional narrative of an epidemic of sexual assault, the so-called rape epidemic on college campuses, put to the lie by sources that might surprise you. Then we're going to have Morgan Brittany. She's got a great column. Is Hillary too big to fail? Servergate. I thought it said severe gate, which actually, when you look at Hillary's face and her reactions and her expression most of the time, that might be fitting. There's all kinds of crazy things going on today. You've got, we're going to play you a great commercial from the Duck Dynasty commander, Phil Robertson, who is endorsing Cruz. It's a rather humorous video. Reverend Al Sharpton is upset that the Oscars are too white. You know, I hear this all the time. You have the Oscars, and then you have, the Hispanic Awards and the Black Awards ceremonies. I don't know what they're called, but basically they're race-centric. So you have your race-centric awards where you've separated people by race. You keep all the white people out. That's the goal. We get it, okay? We get it. So you have the real awards, and then you have the racial category awards. My question is, does anybody really care? Because I think if you're good enough and if you're talented enough and you win an actual Oscar and you happen to be black or Hispanic or Asian or whatever other race, well, then you've actually risen above the fray. You have proven your absolute talent without any question. Now, are you going to have to overcome some prejudice? Sure. But all of us do. I mean, if you weren't born rich, then when you go out into the world, oftentimes you might think the whole world's against you because you were born on the wrong side of the tracks and nobody from your family went to college. You're the first one. But once you've gone there, once you've accomplished it, then you're going to encourage your children and the next generation to succeed past where you were, and on and on and on. And those who are truly incredibly talented, I believe, will rise to the top regardless of the obstacles. But I'm just curious, do you care? Are you someone who cares whether or not the Oscars are white, the winners are white or black or Hispanic, or do you simply want them to be talented? Because I think that more so than anything else is the true test and the true indication. And I don't know. I think most people are tired of all the racial whining in this country. We have a great country. Everybody has a shot at everything. I mean, after Barack Hussein Obama became president, and by the way, he is black. I don't know if you noticed, but he's the first black president. So we have gone from blacks being enslaved to a black man being president. We're done with racism. It's over. I hate to tell you this. If that was your big thing, your big shtick, and you want to call in and yell at me, go ahead. 323-746-TALK. I'll even give you the number because, but here's the thing. Who cares? It's like Al Sharpton. This is his entire issue. The Oscars, they always put up bizarre movies and bizarre candidates, and they leave out hugely qualified favorites from the public. That happens every year. And they're not always black or Hispanic that are left out. Sometimes they're white. Sometimes it's, what's his name? Geez, how can his name escape me? Clint Eastwood. There's an incredibly talented guy. He should have gotten an Oscar, in my opinion, for American Sniper. So should Bradley Cooper for his incredible acting, and maybe even, Sienna Miller for playing Taya Kyle. And by the way, speaking of movies, 13 Hours premiered yesterday. That's the movie about Benghazi. And I got a whole section today on Hillary going down. But I think this movie could literally sink Hillary. Could be that last straw on the camel's back that breaks it, that literally overwhelms it. And I got to tell you, there's not a whole lot of movies that my 16-year-old wants me to take him to. He wants to go with his friends, and it's always stupid movies about stupid things and stupid humor that I would never understand. And they don't want me there anyway. My son, 16 years old, we're going along with we've got a number of my sons that are going to the community firearms training day this weekend. He requested that we go out after the day of shooting and go see this movie. And so we're going to do that on Saturday night, assuming we can find a theater where it is. I'm sure we will be able to, but this is because it comes out officially tomorrow on Friday. 13 Hours is the title. I recommend you go see it, because I think the media has so skewed what happened in Benghazi that most people, when they hear Benghazi, they roll their eyes. They don't even know what we're talking about. And when you see the heroism of Tyrone Woods, and we're going to have a clip here a little bit later on in the next segment on his father and his brother's reaction to seeing it. Really, really moving, heartfelt, and powerful. And I got to tell you, I just think Hillary's going down. I think Hillary is in serious trouble as a result of this movie, on top of a whole lot of other things that have transpired, which will fill you in. Not the least of which is Chelsea Clinton is going out on the attack and doing hit pieces and negative ads against Bernie Sanders. Whenever you don't have family do the hit pieces, you don't let your lovable daughter go out there and throw the bombs for you. Usually you have somebody else so you can sort of have plausible deniability, somebody at arm's length. But hey, this is a sign the Clinton campaign is in serious trouble of imploding at just the wrong time. And if she loses New Hampshire and Iowa, we could just watch this spin out of control, and the Democrats could literally put up a full-blown, self-admitted socialist, and we might actually put up Donald Trump, and it could be socialist versus capitalist. Can you imagine? I mean, this is like an epic fight. This is huge. This is like Ali, and Frazier, and or something of that magnitude. Anyway, we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we'll take some calls and bring you some cool stuff. So stay tuned. 323-746-TALK. Hey, welcome back to the Radio Free California Network. Going to take a quick call here from Lisa, who I believe is in Apple Valley, if I'm not mistaken. How are you?
No, I'm doing well. I'm actually in Adelanto right now.
Adelanto. Well, there you go. And you wanted to call in and talk about an event that's going on this weekend, and it is not the Community Firearm Training Day at Apple Valley Gun Club. And by the way, I believe that's completely sold out. I bought one of the last tickets And that's going to be a huge success. So if you're coming, make sure that you come up and say hello to me. But Lisa, that's not why you're calling. You're calling about something else.
No, something completely different. But I hope everyone is able to get a firearm who wants one. I am calling about the fourth annual March for Life that we're having in Victorville this Saturday. It starts at 1 o'clock. We're going to meet in front of the Victorville City Hall. Then we're going to march a little ways, on Palmdale, and then make a circle back to City Hall. And about 2 o'clock, we're going to have some dynamic speakers out there. We're going to have Rose of Sharon with pamphlets and information for crisis pregnancies. We're going to have a woman from Stanton Healthcare with her new ultrasound machine. She's going to be doing demonstrations. And
let me ask you something, because probably a lot of people have never been to a March for Life or a Relay for Life, and so what is the significance of the ultrasound? What's the big deal there?
The ultrasound actually shows you the human life that's inside the woman, and it really makes a difference. When people are in a crisis pregnancy, our society a lot of times will tell you that, it's just a blob of cells, you can just get rid of it, it's no big deal. And they equate it to like a booger in your nose. Just blow your nose and throw it away, it's no big deal. Well, it's not a booger, it's not just a clump of cells, it's not just a piece of tissue you discard. It's an actual human being that's inside the woman, and it's beautiful. And when you see this, it just is so amazing. It really brings the heart out in people, and they're like, wow, this is a baby? Let's take care of this,
No.
I mean, some people don't. Some
now,
people
if you go there on Saturday at 1 o'clock to the Victorville Town, you said City Hall, and then afterwards to wherever you have the speaking, is that at the same place?
Same place, yes, it's the same place.
Okay. All right, so you got to march and then come back there. All right, so if you go there, could you actually get an ultrasound? I mean, live, like real, or is it just a demonstration?
Yes. Yes, it's both. It's there's a lot because it's a nonprofit. There's a lot of paperwork involved with the state of California, and
of course,
the machine.
The government has to screw up everything. We get it.
Right. So they have the machine. They have the technicians. So if a pregnant woman comes in, they won't officially do an ultrasound, but they will do a demonstration. Now, you tell me the difference.
Got it. I get it.
Whatever.
The difference is a word.
Is a word, and technicality.
Yeah. So if somebody is in crisis and they came to you, and they heard about this event, there would be counselors or people they could talk to there. They can
talk to and resources they can have access to.
Yeah, because what's interesting is just today there's news that Planned Parenthood is suing the people who exposed the truth about what they were doing with the human remains of the aborted children that they aborted. And I mean, I don't get this. How do you sue somebody and they're talking about how they committed a crime by videotaping these individuals? But if there was a crime, then it wouldn't be a civil case. It would be the government would prosecute the individuals. But there's been no crime alleged by the government. But Planned Parenthood got caught, and it has really woken up a lot of people on an issue they had sort of decided in their mind and maybe forgotten about a long time ago. But it's really brought, this issue, the issue of life, to the forefront.
Yeah, they have a really large ego, and with that, you have to feed it with a whole bunch of lies, and they don't get it. And I mean, they know that they're killing babies. All the doctors will say, "Yeah, we know we're killing babies," but they don't have a conscience. They don't really care, and they're trying to legitimize that, and they're trying to legalize that. Well, they did legalize it in 1972.
Well, and then they're selling the baby's parts, and and they claim to be a nonprofit, and so of course it raised a question about their funding source. They get $500 million of our tax dollars, and we have no way of opting out of that, by the way, and the Republicans couldn't even kill it. That's the part that kills me. You have something that is.
they also just gave a huge donation to Clinton.
Well, you know what? That may sink her campaign. That may be a death knell for Hillary's campaign. She's already in very serious trouble. The rats are leaving the ship, is all I'm going to say.
Yeah, that's true. And you know what? With Planned Parenthood bringing this case against that company for the videos, it's just going to make everything they've done an actual legal document and set precedent for future court cases. And those videos are going to be made public document through the court system. So everyone's going to have access to the originals, which is wonderful because it's the truth. And,
it's funny when you're caught saying something on camera. It's hard. It's hard to have sympathy for the person who says, who doesn't want to own what they said, even though it's clearly the truth, because you can hear them say it, you can see their mouth moving. And on the flip side, they want to sue this person and blame them, say that they've committed a crime and done this and done that, when in the reality, the horror is the attitude, the cavalier attitude toward life demonstrated by these individuals who are literally just chopping up babies' parts and selling them as if they were chicken cutlets.
Yeah, and what's really going to be scary is when they find out the paper trail of where these body parts were sent to, who paid for them, what did they do with the body parts, all this stuff. It's like, there's colleges and universities involved, plus medical companies. It's not just Planned Parenthood selling it around the corner to some shady character. These are big companies, so it's going to get ugly.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, Lisa, give out the information again for your event, the March for Life. Where do people go? At what time? It's Saturday, right?
Yes, it's this coming Saturday, January 16th. We're going to start our march at 1 o'clock in front of Victorville City Hall, and then we'll march around the block, and then about 2 o'clock, we're going to start our speakers, and we'll have vendors out there with information and compassion, for any person who's having a need right there with a crisis pregnancy. We'll have someone there, and we'll have ultrasound demonstrations as well. And can I put a website?
Yeah, absolutely. Please do.
Okay. Watchwhattheyardoing.org is a blog my husband set up, and he has information on the march. And there's an ad in the paper today. The Victorville Daily Press had an ad in the paper for us.
Okay, so say the website again slowly.
Watchwhattheyardoing.org.
Perfect. And Lisa, would you agree to come back on after the march sometime next week and give us an update on how it went?
Sure, I sure will.
That would be great.
Well, actually, Monday's a holiday. Are you guys on your show on Martin Luther King holiday?
Give us a call on Wednesday. Give us a call in on Wednesday and let us know. But God bless you for the work that you're doing, because what you're doing is you're reaching out to women who are in crisis and you're giving them an alternative to abortion. And that is something that I absolutely support. It's called the free market, where you let people know they really have a choice and they can get the same services that they get for free from Planned Parenthood from a pregnancy alternative center. And I think that's fantastic. And God bless you and good luck at the march.
All right. And life is precious. Thank you so much, Tim. You take care.
Oh, you got it. Godspeed. Bye-bye. Hey, we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to be joined by Adele Nazarian of Breitbart.com, a favorite here, The Tim Donnelly Show. Hey, you are tuned to the Radio Free California Network. I am your host, Tim Donnelly, former California State Assemblyman and radio governor here in the state of California. And we are joined by Adele Nazarian, who is a good friend of the Tim Donnelly Show, and she is a writer and investigative journalist at Breitbart.com. And by the way, Adele, I noticed your website is exploding in terms of the coverage you're getting. You guys are increasing coverage all over the world. Kudos on that, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Yeah, we're getting a lot of traction. It's awesome.
Yes, you are. Anytime I want to know what's going on in the world, I go to Breitbart, and you have the story before the rest of the world. It's amazing. And I hadn't really heard anything about what was going on at USC until I read your column. I got to admit, this is just flat out crazy. At a time when college-age young people are deeply concerned about privacy, to hear that you have a college like USC asking questions that are basically would be considered privileged and private information if they were asked in a medical setting, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, fill us in on this.
It's funny because it's kind of like the bedroom is creeping closer and closer to the bedroom door. The government is, and
good analogy,
right? And they're going so far as one of the most, I guess, critical times during one's personal development, which is their formative college years. And what they're doing is there was a survey as part of a Title IX online questionnaire that is being given to all incoming freshmen and some higher education students at all California universities who are receiving federal government funding. And some of the questions were very pervasive. They asked very intrusive rather. They asked about how many times students have had intercourse, including oral, in the last 3 months. Of those times, they asked, did the person engage in, they use protection. They also asked the question as to whether or not the student had believed that how many of the other students in the class also engaged in this sort of activity. So, these sorts of questions are actually protected under the America's HIPAA Act under the law. So it's very funny how you have the government kind of, bypassing that very law and trying to get the information for themselves.
So you have Big Brother spying on students, Big Brother spying on Little Brother, but basically the government's breaking its own rules.
It is, and it absolutely is. And I really feel that this has become even more of a scenario following this whole, college rape, the Lena Dunham story that broke in, and all the stuff that's happening with the Rolling Stones and whatnot about the influx, so to speak, of college rape incidences, and they politicized it.
Give us a little vignette of the Lena Dunham story, because I think a lot of our listeners may not know what you're referring to.
I believe what happened was Lena Dunham had, come out and spoken about, the incidences of rape on college campuses and how she herself was raped on when she was in college by a Republican named Barry, apparently.
Right.
And that was the narrative that she went with to impress upon people, and the left in particular, how, the conservatives are evil, and, look at this rape epidemic that's happening on college campuses. I myself suffered, at the hands of an aggressor man. She's a very staunch feminist, by the way. And the cherry on top is that the guy happened to be a Republican. So an all-out war, basically, from the media, and so this kind of perpetuated
But she admitted that it never happened at some point, right?
Yes. So exactly, the best part of it is that her entire story unraveled, and there was no evidence actually pointing to a guy named Barry. And in the end, it was determined that this was more than likely a fabricated story, which she came up with in her very, very creative mind. To say the least.
Wow. So there is no rape epidemic except in the mind of Lena Dunham, and yet the media has not stopped with the narrative, because once she got the ball rolling, the perception became reality, right?
Well, here's the thing. I'm not going to say there's not a rape epidemic. What I'm going to say is there's definitely a problem on campuses where students are definitely not taking responsibility for their own actions and the consequences of their own behavior. This stems from, underage drinking, kind of, releasing their inhibitions, and, no one is really in a cognizant state of mind to be able to say, yes, give consent. Am I willing to engage in sexual activity with you? Or no, when their whole entire, state of mind is kind of altered by alcohol. So I think there's definitely always been that, the incidence of rape or sexual harassment on college campuses, but the media attention given to it, particularly by those on the left, has really exploded it to a level it hasn't really been reported on before previously. So there is a problem there. But
yeah, no, absolutely. There's clearly a problem. Let's go back to the whole chapter that's unfolding here at USC that you wrote about in your column. USC drops sexual questions from mandatory class. It's up at Breitbart.com. Adele, evidently the spotlight being shown on this story got them to back off.
Yes. It was amazing. I really commend, senior and pre-law student Jacob Ellenhorn for coming out loud and punching with this story. Basically, the Vice President for Administration, Todd Dickey, issued a statement indicating that the questions that were inappropriate have been removed from their online trading module. So that's a pretty big victory. This student, by the way, I would suggest everyone keep an eye on him, Jacob Ellenhorn, because he has a very bright future, I feel, in politics.
Now tell us who he is, because I didn't catch his title. What does he do?
So he's a senior right now at USC, and he is pre-law. I think he's going to go on to law school, and I wouldn't be surprised if he becomes a very outspoken critic of, those on not only the left, but also maybe on the right, depending on issues. He's very smart, and he was also the person who voted against the single outspoken senator at USC who voted against that diversity resolution, which sought to allocate $100 million in funds towards creating a climate of more inclusion, including, having a black provost, things like that at USC several months back. But he was really the main push behind the VP coming out and removing those inappropriate questions from the online class.
Well, that's encouraging to hear that there are some young people out there that get it, because we hear so many stories that are in the press that are so depressing about the next generation. But I think there's a resurgence among the youth who see a failed government, and they see it everywhere, whether it's a campus government, or a state or city or the federal. They see these intrusions, violations of privacy, just patent examples of hypocrisy, where in many cases you have people at the top of the university making $500,000 a year, and they get a pay raise of 20% while they're raising the kids' tuition 10% to pay for it. And there's no parking, there's no new resources, but their tuition goes up every year. So I think there's sort of an awakening, because it really hits you in the pocketbook as well as in your rights.
Yeah, and it's unbelievable, because as this very thing that you just mentioned is happening, you have the president coming out and talking about having 2 free years of community college. The question is,
you had to bring him up.
Students have a difficult. He gave his final State of the Union address on Tuesday night, and he brought that up. And I just thought to myself, I've noticed this. Students are complaining how every year the tuitions at universities are just going up higher, and they can't even afford it. So, in my opinion, it's creating a larger stratification between the haves and have-nots. because you have the people who can't afford the 2-year university, right, which are going to get it for free, according to what he's saying, which obviously is not the case. Someone's always going to pay for it. Then you have those who are able to better afford it, and they're essentially being slapped with an astronomical bill that is going to deter many of them from even wanting to pursue a higher education, because the amount of bills and interest, college loans they're going to be met with, is going to ultimately take years and years to pay back. So it's a very, very interesting phenomenon going on. And
yeah, and the idea that we're gonna provide free education, there is no free lunch. Everybody with a brain gets that. Somebody's going to pay for it. And when you have the government doing the paying or being the middleman, just like we have now with the advent of the Unaffordable Care Act, I have to call it that because it's, you got Obama out there laughing and joking around because he doesn't want to call it that anymore. He wants to call it Obamacare. But it has made healthcare more expensive. And it's an obvious connection. When the government comes in and steps in and interferes in the market, that ultimately creates an inflation in pricing. And we've seen the exact same thing in the cost of college. Administrative costs have gone up like 15% a year, and they just pass them on to the students.
Exactly. And what's scarier is I think what's happening is we really are, following in the footsteps of, these countries like Europe. And the social healthcare system there isn't that great, as I'm sure you know. And I'd say we have about 10 years, 5 years really, before we can really correct what he's done, the Affordable Care Act. And if we can't, I think I give the lifespan of this this whole entire ordeal about 10 to 15 years before he really starts to, backpedal and crash and burn, basically. So,
yeah, I'm not as optimistic as you. I don't think it's going to last that long. But hey, I am excited and encouraged by your story to see young people standing up against an authoritarian invasion of their privacy. And this is great stuff. And we're going to continue to follow you, Adele Nazarian, at Breitbart.com, because you always have great stories. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Tim. God bless.
Godspeed to you. Hey, 323-746-TALK. Take your calls when we come back. Hey, welcome back to the Tim Donnelly Show. We are waiting with bated breath. Well, some people are playing drinking games already at the undercard debate. Of course, today is another of the GOP debates. They are in South Carolina, of all places. And, I actually think this is going to bode very, very well for Donald Trump, and not so well for some others who are not as clear-cut on the issues. I can't believe Jeb Bush is still in the debate. Are you able to figure that one out? How do we get Jeb Bush? How is Jeb Bush relevant? How is he still part of this entire field? The guy spent a ton of money. He's an almost dead last in almost every poll. I think there was one poll he bought his way into third place. But who, in this day and age, who sees Jeb Bush as the presidential candidate? I'm not getting it. We've got an ad from Ted Cruz. I don't know if we can play that, but he got an interesting endorsement that will bode very well in South Carolina.
My qualifications for President of the United States are rather narrow. Is he or she godly? Does he or she love us? Can he or she do the job? And finally, would they kill a duck and put him in a pot and make him a good duck gumbo? I've looked at the candidates. Ted Cruz is my man. He fits the bill. He's godly. He loves us. He's the man for the job, and he will go duck hunting because today we're going. Ted Cruz is my man. I'm voting for him. Cruz, the reason we're going to vote for you, all of us, is because you're one of us, my man. That's why we're voting for you. It's now or never.
Morgan Brittany, when we return. Hey, you are tuned to the Radio Free California Network. I am your host, Tim Donnelly, former California State Assemblyman and radio governor here in the state of California. We're going to be joined shortly by none other than the great Morgan Brittany. She is not only a fantastic actress, she is a patriot, a great American. She has written extensively on really the topic of America and keeping this great country safe. And we are going to bring you, in the meantime, we're going to bring you a clip from Donald Trump, who went on air and, well, I'll let him speak for himself. Let's you know what? Let's go with the Stump for Trump girls first. They're just fun.
How great are they? How great are they? I turn on my television one night and I see these two on television. I say, they are the greatest. What is it? They became an internet sensation. I hope you've monetized it a little bit. You want to do a little routine? Come on, go ahead.
Well, first of all, I'm glad that the media can see us and all. See them? There they go. There they go. I see them. I see them. I want everybody to know, yes, that we stand behind Donald J. Trump. Yes, we do, baby. Yes. Yes. We support Donald J. Trump. Yes. And we endorse Donald J. Trump. And this is going to be our next president of these United States. Yes. Yes. Oh. The silent majority has spoken, baby. Yes. We've spoken. Don't get it twisted. That's right. Tell him to build that wall. Now listen, he gonna put that wall up. Yes, he is. He gonna build that wall. He gonna build it. And he gonna build it tall. He gonna build it tall. And it's gonna protect us all. He gonna protect us all. We don't want this country to fall, do we? No, we don't want it to fall. No. Build that wall, Donald J. Trump. Build that wall. Woo! Build it. Thank you.
How good? How good? What people? What
listen
great
now.
people.
Listen to how hoarse Donald
let's take
Trump
another
is.
one. That's great.
He's at a rally in North Carolina that was from December 4th, and there is a Joe Scarborough hosts a morning talk show, and he was commenting on this massive rally in Jacksonville, Florida, which is his home. And you won't believe how he talks about it. He says it's bigger than the crowds that you've seen from Reagan, bigger than the crowds you've seen from so many others before that. And he doesn't know what to make of it. Anyway, here's Joe Scarborough on Trump.
So I do want to talk to Mark briefly.
Well, really briefly, because GE is leaving Connecticut and Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton are neck and neck in Iowa, and we have the debate tonight. So go ahead, quick. You have 20 seconds.
I was at George W. Bush's campaign rally in 2004 in the final stages of that unbelievable presidential race in early November. I saw Reagan come to Pensacola twice in 1980. I saw the crowds. I've never seen anything like that in my hometown before. And it's absolutely staggering. Here we are in early January. I'll be honest with you. I guess seeing it in your own hometown, I can't believe I'm saying this. I don't get it as far as the size of the crowds go. This is like nothing I saw with Reagan. It's like nothing I saw with Bush. It's nothing I saw with any political candidate. What I saw come out of Pensacola last night, Mark Halperin.
You know, it's not the first big Trump rally I've been to, but it's one of the biggest ones I've gone to. And it'd be great for any American interested in politics, whether you like Trump or not, to see what it's like. It's not just about an hour show of Trump performing and some warm-up acts all day.
Look at that.
John and I did with all due respect from the event. People streaming in, waiting in line, happily waiting in line. You know, there's a carnival-like atmosphere. And when he talks, he knows how to work the crowd. John and I interviewed him last night and talked to him about his longtime career as a speaker. And he said, it's always like this. People always have wanted to come see him talk. He knows how to work the audience, even with a bulky mic. And Joe, the biggest thing in Pensacola politically in a long time, but that's true in the Northeast when he appears in Lowell, Massachusetts. It's true in the South. God. Trump does not have every advantage in the world, but there's no other candidate in this race in either party who can put on the kind of performance he did last night.
My friend Collier Merrill called me up at 10 in the morning, yesterday morning. He said people were already lined up around the Civic Center. And you tell me that they turned away thousands of people. We saw all the people inside the event, but you said they turned away thousands and thousands of people who couldn't even get in.
Yeah, this is a supply and demand issue that Trump tends to book the biggest venue he can in any city. Barry Manilow's coming to the same venue in a couple of weeks. I'm not sure he'll draw quite as big a crowd, but this ability to bring people in, and again, remember, it's not just for show, it's not just for the cameras. These are people that Trump has a chance to reach and speak to. And you think about if Marco Rubio or Ted Cruz came to Pensacola and did an event, their ability to touch 15,000 people or 14,000 people, whatever it is, it would take them, 100 events, 50 events.
I think it's very safe to say Marco would reach, maybe get 150 people in an event.
Right.
Ted Cruz would probably get double, probably get 300, 400 people in an event.
And this isn't like some of the candidates the last time around 8 years ago. This is different. There's something different going on.
And you see with Bernie Sanders on the Democratic side too.
I know. So
remarkable.
We have incredible new poll numbers.
When I hear that, I'm surprised, and this gives me a new outlook on this race, and because my belief has been all along it's between Cruz and Trump, and these are the guys. One of them is going to make it. Trump always seems to have this advantage. He's always, edging everyone else out. But that doesn't matter unless it's election day, and we're a long way from election day. But to have this kind of enthusiasm and excitement, we don't see this very often. People are not excited about politicians anymore. They're done. So I don't know, especially given Joe Scarborough is not necessarily a big Republican fan. I know he was a Republican at one time. I don't think he is anymore. He's kind of gone off the deep end half the time, but he was shocked. That's a good thing. That's a good thing for our side. Anyway, we're going to take a break. And we'll come back, take some of your calls, and at some point we're going to get a call in from my good friend Morgan Brittany. So stay tuned. Hey, welcome back. We're just listening to a clip of an astonished Joe Scarborough, at the massive size of the crowds at a Donald Trump event. I don't know why he's so surprised, but evidently it is. I guess it's bigger than he's used to. I guess he's used to boring candidates who are mainstream establishment politicians, and people really don't want politicians. That's really the story. Anyway, 323-746-TALK. We're going to go to the phones. We got Mike from Wrightwood. Mike, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks. Actually, since you're going to see that movie, if I get a chance, I'll try to get done this weekend and drop off the tape for you. But I actually have the book on tape, which is, for 13 hours. And, I got a mother-in-law that's a Democrat, which is in itself very annoying. She has a cell phone from Obama.
Is she listening right now?
Yeah, she got a.
Is she listening to the show?
Oh no, but she knows. She knows that I do a lot of stuff. And when I was in New Mexico, she heard me on the radio a couple of times. And when I go to her house, she knows that I won't watch CNN. But whenever I talk to her, I always cite the talking points before she can open her mouth, and that kind of bugs her. But, I had to give her a ride home from here in Wrightwood to Phoenix or Tucson, and I put 13 hours on. And she wasn't too happy about it. And it's a really, I want to see the movie because, the book's never the same as the movie. But, if you can get the book on tape, it's just somebody reading the book. And, it's amazing, especially for people that were there that know what a QRF is, that know the way the things are supposed to work and how it should go. And, it's probably going to be one hell of a movie. It's definitely not something that, they want out because this whole stand down thing that they keep trying to run us over with, saying it never happened, even though we have several people that keep saying it did.
Oh, but, yeah. No, I can attest. My son, my middle son, and I went to Tucson to a conference, and I was blown away. The one of the keynote speakers was none other than Tyrone Wood's wife, Dorothy, who I don't know how she held it together as she spoke about her husband and his bravery and his heroism. And I hadn't heard the story because the media didn't tell the story the way they would have,
right.
40 or 50 years ago. And this is a man whose story deserves to be up on the big screen. But here's the beautiful part about this whole thing. This will, I believe, serve an actual purpose at keeping the perpetrator out of power.
Yeah, well, it definitely, getting into the individuality of things, and then there's a lot of stuff like people don't understand that, when they attacked the embassy and all that, there was actually two different attacks, two separate attacks. It wasn't one. And, the most parts that were great were, the second part of it where they were fighting from the actual CIA spot. So it's not, the media kind of put it out that, yeah, they went in there and they blew up this building and this is what happened. And there is so much more to it. And, the 13 hours alone, anybody that understands military and QRF, which is Quick Reaction Force, and you can see it even in the movie Lone Wolf, where they tried to get a QRF and, to help out these guys. Instead, they were told to stand down as well because they needed special power. QRFs are designed to be ready at a second's notice to go into anything and everything, and they're not going to have a lot of info other than the fact that they're going to go rescue people, they're going to fight, they're going to overpower people, and they're going to get them out of there. And it's the same as on a raid or anything else. And, when they talk about how, they didn't have enough intel, they didn't have enough of this, they didn't have enough of that. Well, we did. We had all kinds of stuff. They had satellites. They had outside cameras. The White House had all this stuff. And, you got these guys that get so frustrated, waiting for that order, ready to go, that finally end up taking a risk in their lives. And that's how, basically the media put it out was, well, they just finally went in. No, there's more to it. There's the second part of that attack that, will come out. And people are going to see that, it didn't just end in that little building. And, the video they keep showing of our embassy burning, well, they don't show you the embassy of the CIA side at all. I've yet to see where they showed, the attack or even discussed the fact that they were under attack, and it was brought to the CIA site, which tells you somebody had to tell them, because the CIA site was not listed. It was not a site that should have been known, and it's not a site that would have been put out. It was supposed to be a safe place. We have those all over the world. In every country, there's a place to go that spooks know where to go, that they can be safe. So, hopefully, people will get a different view of this. It's, and these guys that put this story out, I mean, and I don't know how they're going to do it in the movie, but I'll just tell you this part about the book. Right off the bat in this book, it talks about it's not political. It's not about, who's going to do what, who did what, or anything else. It's about the story of these men who did their duty and did their best and did what they were supposed to do and trained to do. And everything in there comes exactly from the mouths of the people there. So I'll get you, I'll try to get down there Saturday and drop this off to you, because even after you see the movie, it's, the book, I think, is, the movie, they're going to say they dramatized it. Well, the book you can't dramatize. The book is exactly word for word what these guys did.
No, I would love that. If you're able to make it out, I would love that. I would love to meet you in person. Look, here's the thing about the movie, though, and this says something about our society. We're so busy that sometimes a movie, which is sort of an hour and a half to a 2-hour respite from life, or little oasis, sometimes that can be such a powerful force. And I'm hoping, even though their intent was simply to tell the story, I'm hoping the story is told in a way that is so powerful that it moves people to say, you know what, Hillary Clinton, you are now off the list of people I would consider voting for president, even if you happen to be someone who might vote for Bernie Sanders. I think if it does that, then it has done something more than it was even intending to do. And I just that's my hope and prayer. Hillary is going down. She is going down hard. We're gonna be talking with Morgan Brittany here sometime in the next half hour or so. And when we get back from this break, I'm going to play you a clip from Megyn Kelly about this movie 13 Hours. Anyway, Mike, thanks for the call. We're gonna move on. And did I just say Yeah, I just that's not my job. My job is to flow seamlessly and perfectly and never hesitate and always have something to say. But at any rate, I have so much to do and so little time to do it. But I'm really looking forward to seeing this movie because I want to know the full story. I've heard it from Tyrone Wood's wife's mouth, his widow. I heard her, but it was hard to hear because I was so teared up and so emotional listening to his widow talk about his heroism and his bravery that when you see it on a screen before you act it out, I think sometimes you get the full magnitude. And, it's tragic that we are living in a time when that isn't enough to get Obama choked up. That is not enough to get tears from this man who is pretending to be the president of the United States. But what I will tell you is this is definitely a movie that I believe you should go and see and support, because you'll be supporting people who love this country. Whatever you do, don't touch that dial. We got a whole lot more coming up after this break. Hey, speaking of great friends, we have one on the line. She is not only a great friend of the Tim Donnelly Show, she is a great friend to America. She is not only an award-winning actress and a very talented individual, but she is a patriot. She's a great American. She is someone who has the courage to go out there and actually say what's on her mind. And she does it in such a way that every time I read it, I have to have her on air because she always makes points I never thought of. And I am, of course, referring to actress Morgan Brittany. Morgan, welcome to the show.
Hey, it's good to be with you.
Likewise. It's been too long. Happy New Year.
I know it.
I don't think I've seen you since last year.
I know. I don't think so either.
And you're always on the go. I mean, every time I talk to you, you're either going to New York or Atlanta to work, and you got a husband that's got his hands in a whole bunch of other movie type stuff. And
exactly.
It's a whirlwind.
Tomorrow, as a matter of fact, I'm heading out to Atlanta tomorrow. Yeah.
I am not the least bit surprised. That's why I knew I had to grab you right away. But you wrote a great piece, and it's so timely because, I mean, you've seen the headlines today. Hillary's campaign is imploding. You know it's bad when you send the person who is supposed to be the soft, fuzzy, warm, lovable, sort of almost mascot, right? The family, the daughter, Chelsea, that's all they have. They don't have a dog. I don't think the dogs would stay with them. Anyway, but you got Chelsea going out being the hitman. She's going out doing hits on Bernie Sanders. I think they picked her because she's young or something, thinking it would resonate. But the Sanders people love him because he's not bought. He may be crazy and he wants to steal all our money and give it to the government, but he isn't bought.
Who would have ever thought? If anybody had told me back when I even 10 years ago that we would have on the Democrat side a socialist communist and a criminal running for the nomination for president, I would have said you're out of your mind. I don't know. We live in some alternate universe, don't we?
Well, you know that, of course, it was predicted on this show, I don't know, maybe 4 months ago, that we could have, I didn't say definitively, but I said we could have a race that shapes up where on the one hand you have a self-avowed socialist, and on the other hand you have a staunch capitalist who's made billions of dollars, and this could be socialist versus capitalist. It could be the big fight.
It could very well be. I mean, stranger things have happened, and I'm just, every day, it's just unbelievable what's going on out there. It really is. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, and by the way, your piece, Is Hillary Too Big to Fail? What a great title, because it refers to her crony capitalist and how the big banks support her and all these big monolithic, top 1%ers while she's pretending to fight them. For the people, for the little people. But talk to us about this. I mean, you referred to her as a criminal just now, and more, that is about to become a reality. I mean, there's been, I believe, 150 agents of the FBI looking into her since, I believe, April of 2015. In particular, looking into the connection between her actions at the State Department and receipts of campaigns from foreign governments and foreign entities at the Clinton Crime Foundation.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Or I'm sorry, did I say crime found the Clinton fraud? I mean the Clinton. Whatever they call it. I don't even know what the real title is. Whatever their foundation is, it is a fraud, and it's a disaster. But you've gone into it, and since. Who would have thought that we'd have somebody like this running for the White House when they're running from the law?
Well, it's been an inevitability if you think about it. Way back in, and I mentioned this in the article, way back in the 90s when Bill Clinton, with the scandal with Monica and everybody else, and Hillary Clinton stood by his side, some deals had to have been made way back then because she had her eyes on the White House as being president way back then. And this has all been calculated. And when she was blindsided, she and Bill were blindsided by Barack Obama in 2008. I guarantee you the Democrat Party made a deal and said, just hold on, Hillary, hold on, we'll get through this, you'll have your day, you won't even have to do anything, you'll just walk right into that nomination.
Right, the coronation.
Now, that's right. That's exactly right. So she has felt entitled to the presidency for decades. And through her own undoing, she has sabotaged her own campaign. However, do not underestimate the Clintons because, like you just said, it's crony capitalism. Bill and Hillary started that foundation so that they have the entire world donating to that foundation. And what are they donating for, Tim? They are donating for access when she becomes president. She can't afford to lose. The Democrat Party has nobody else. And not only that, but she's beholden to all of these donors that she has promised, I will be in the White House.
Yeah.
So she's too big to fail. She's too big to fail.
I was just thinking it might make kind of a, I don't remember when they used to do movie of the week on television. This could be it, because I could just see, let's say she fails, she crumbles, she winds up in jail, and some far east or Middle East dictator or whatever, that paid for access to the next president, didn't get what he paid for, sends a hitman into the jail. I mean, this is the kind of stuff that we could be dealing with.
This is crazy. I mean, obviously, the email problem, they found 1,300 plus emails that were deemed classified. There are a couple of top secret classified documents in there that she had on an unsecured server. Why is it taking so long when David Petraeus, within a heartbeat, was brought up on charges for less than what she has done? Something is going down behind the scenes. I really like the director Comey from the FBI. I really think he's a straight shooting guy. But the only thing he can do with all of these 158 agents on this case, and they've now expanded the case into that foundation, the only thing he can do when all of the evidence is in is take it to Loretta Lynch, the Attorney General, and recommend an indictment. At that point, it is up to Barack Obama and Loretta Lynch whether they're going to go after Hillary or not. Now, if they don't indict her, what kind of precedent does that set? Because at that point, you've got a woman who has compromised national security. Secrets are out there. There's corruption in the foundation. That means anybody after her, they can't be held responsible for any of that. So where does that leave us? It's a tough, horrible situation that she's put us in. The FBI, more than likely from the things I've heard, are probably going to suggest an indictment. But what does the Democrat Party do at that point?
Well,
they've got nobody.
But Barack Obama, just the other night, State of the Union, I heard it with my own ears. Well, I heard it in replay. I didn't want to force myself to watch it live. I actually went to my kid's basketball game. But I didn't throw anything at the TV. I was throwing stuff at my computer screen on YouTube, right? He said that he has done more to uphold the rule of law. So him saying that, if he doesn't uphold the rule of law when it comes to Hillary's crimes, and see, it doesn't matter if there's enough evidence to believe there is a high probability that she has committed a crime, then they must move forward with an indictment, and then she can defend herself in court. But once you're defending yourself in court against this type of corruption, you're finished, because she's already got her donors leaving her in droves. They're running out the back door, screaming. Some of them have PTSD. I heard
that. Yeah, I know that. But what does the Democrat Party do? What do they do? Like you said, yeah, wouldn't it be fun to watch Bernie Sanders and Donald Trump duke it out? But if you really think about the makeup of this country, Bernie Sanders is not going to play anywhere except the coast liberal states. He's not going to play middle America. They're not going to vote for him. So you're looking at a Trump presidency right there if Trump's the nominee. And
well, thank you very much.
He'll take
I'll take that.
He'll take 48, 49 states over Bernie Sanders. And the
Right.
Democrats know it. They only threw Bernie Sanders in there just as a puppet up against Hillary. They never thought he'd get any traction.
Well, okay. So what are they? Well, let's take a break, and when we come back, I want to ask you, what do they do, and how do they address this? So give you a couple minutes to think of it. We're talking with none other than award-winning actress Morgan Brittany, who, by the way, has a great column. I'm going to get the title right this time. At World Net Daily, it's Is Hillary Too Big to Fail? More with her and your questions when we come back. Is Hillary too big to fail? That is the question that actress Morgan Brittany is asking in her latest column at World Net Daily. And Morgan, before the break, I said, I got to give you a question. And the way you framed this is actually brilliant. Is she too big to fail? As if she's some kind of massive conglomerate, and she really is. She represents the modern Democrat Party and all of its corruption.
That's right. She does.
So,
and she's been getting away with it. And the thing is, in her mind, she doesn't think that she's doing anything wrong. She believes she's above the law. Bill believed he was above the law. They don't think the laws apply to them. It's the same thing with Barack Obama. For some reason, this permeates the Democrat Party, where they just feel that, well, that just doesn't apply to me. I can have my own server. I can do this. I can do that. And because they never get called out on it, they never get caught, they never get prosecuted, ever. And they skate on everything. And this is a problem. Now, I don't know. I mean, I have thoughts about what the Democrats do if, let's say, Barack
that's
Obama
what I want to know. What do they do?
Okay. All right. Let's say Barack Obama, there's no love lost between the Clintons and Obama. We know that. They don't like each other. Now, if he decides to go ahead with an indictment and tells Loretta Lynch to go ahead with it, that's pretty much going to kill Hillary's deal, unless she's in her orange jumpsuit behind bars campaigning. I don't know. But my thought is Joe Biden is out there saying, I regret every day that I didn't run. He's saying things like that. They're meeting with Elizabeth Warren. Now, why would they be meeting with Elizabeth Warren? She said she doesn't want to run. I believe they've got either Biden or Warren or that combination in the wings.
Okay.
And if they have to, if
but
the Democrats
how do they do it?
If they have to rewrite the rules, they will. Because
well, we know that, yeah.
Yeah, they will. And the Democrat Party will just say, well, we understand that they have to sign up ahead of time and they have to do all this in different states, but we're going to forego that because of circumstances beyond our control. But they may, listen, if Obama does go after her and does decide to indict her, I say Biden and Elizabeth Warren as his running mate.
Well, I mean, technically, the Iowa caucuses have not yet happened. They're still a couple weeks away. So, you've got to be on the ballot in all 50 states, or all 57 in the case of Obama. Which, of course, is kind of funny because I don't know if you saw the headline. There's a bunch of counties in the United States where there are more registered voters than there are actual inhabitants of these counties. Yeah. Maybe that's where he got the 57 votes from, 57 states from, stuffing the ballot boxes that they learned there in Cook County, Chicago area. But this really represents an existential crisis, to use a really big college word that I learned as an English major. But I don't know how else to put it, because the Democrat Party, if they're not able to pull off a cheat by getting Biden and Warren in illegally, let's say, they're basically faced with the end of the Democrat Party, and the Republican Party is going through something similar. Different dynamics, but they're facing their own existential crisis.
Oh yeah, they certainly are, and you can see. I mean, the Democrats are shaking in their boots right now because they've just found out that 20% of Democrat voters are leaning toward Trump. They're having heart attacks over that.
Oh yeah,
because he's appealing to the blue collar workers, the labor guys. He's appealing to a lot of guys on the Democrat side.
And you want to know part of my theory of why that's happening? It's simple human dynamics. They've been ignored. The blue collar person in this country,
middle class,
has been taken for granted by both parties and left behind by both parties.
That's right. Well, it's going to be interesting to see if they back off on Hillary. Now, here's another theory: the Clintons have the goods on so many people in Washington. They have volumes on people, and they do not hesitate and will not hesitate to use it.
That's true.
So my guess is that if Obama backs off and this thing becomes a non-issue and they say, well, what she did was really not, or Huma or Cheryl Mills or somebody else takes the fall for her, I guarantee you they had the goods on somebody. Whether it's Obama,
that's going to be the last. That's going to have to be the last word from Morgan Brittany. Is Hillary too big to fail? Hey, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Always love having you on.
Okay.
Hey, we got to take a break, but go to WorldNet Daily. Read her column. It's great stuff. Hey, you tuned in to the Radio Free California Network. I am your host, Tim Donnelly, former California State Assemblyman and radio governor here in the state of California. 323-746-TALK. That's 323-746-8255 is our number, should you wish to opine. And I'm going straight to the phones right now. Please give me your first name and city.
Cherie Chandler.
Hi, Cherie. How are you?
I'm fine. I have a question. What is to say that you can't write in Biden? Why can't we write in if we don't like what's going on? Why can't we write him in if he misses the state?
Well, that's an interesting point. I don't know that deeply all the ins and outs of presidential politics. I can tell you that, from running for governor in the state of California, once the card had been decided, the top two, you couldn't write somebody else in. It didn't actually count. But it's an interesting idea, and it does look like the Democrat Party is in serious trouble with a choice between Hillary and Bernie Sanders. Joe Biden would have been the perfect antidote to the Hillary problem, but somebody talked him out of getting in.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's one of the things I wanted to know. Can you suggest a site where you might be able to find out how to do these things a little easier? How many signatures do you have to have on a ballot? What do you have to do? And one of the other questions I had is why, since we've had them since 2008, why haven't we vetted all these presidential candidates?
Well,
I mean, this doesn't make any sense. I mean, Go ahead.
Well, no, that's actually a really good question. I don't know where to send you for your ballot stuff. I'm not, and I can't help you there, but I can help you with the answer to that question. When you look at how politics works, you have two sets of candidates. One are the candidates that the party approves of, right? And they're in the mind of the party, they represent a certain image. For the Democrat Party, they want someone who's progressive, young, and attractive. Well, they failed with Hillary. And it's funny that Bernie Sanders is capturing the sort of the imagination of so many people, and he's not young. But when I ran for governor, I was the candidate that they didn't want to run. I was the guy who was the true believer, who actually represented what I said I would do, and who was a threat to the establishment. And that's what Donald Trump is on the Republican side. It's what Bernie Sanders is on the Democrat side. And those kind of candidates, they figure they have a little formula for knocking them out of the race. And this year it's just not working because Hillary is so corrupt, but the whole system's corrupt. So nobody was upset by her corruption. What they're upset by is how incompetent she has been in winning over people when she's given 15 microphones in front of her.
She does say some of the right things. You're correct. But, come on. It doesn't leave us many places to go. This thing, you can't vote for a decent person anymore. You have to pick the best of
let me ask you this: if you had a choice of anyone you could vote for, who would it be, even if they're not on the ticket?
Right now, Joe Biden, I would. I mean, I'd love to have the senator from Massachusetts. What's her name?
Elizabeth Warren.
Yeah, I mean, come on, we've got to get some people who have an idea. I mean, and she's good at mathematics. I mean, I think most of us aren't any good at mathematics anymore. and you need reading, writing, and arithmetic.
Yeah, well, you got to thank the Democrats for that in this state because they're the ones who pushed Common Core, and they're pushing all kinds of crazy ideas. I'm surprised that you are listening to the Tim Donnelly show and you support Elizabeth Warren or Joe Biden, given that given how conservative I am. But I find that fascinating.
But I take all the good and weigh that. I mean, you've got to. You just can't go on and blindly say, okay, this is what I want, and go with that party, because there's just not a lot that people are saying today that make any sense. So you have to pick the right one, and your show is very open and honest. I mean, you'll listen to some crazy person, and you'll let them make their speech, and we go on. But anymore, it's a big fight, And like you say, I mean, Trump. I mean, he's sitting where we're thinking,
Yeah, he is. And I would here's what I would like to see. I'd like to see Sanders and Trump in the race. I think it would demolish the establishment. They would become irrelevant in both parties. And then the people would have more of a say. We would have more of a say. But it's going to be very interesting. You raised an interesting point. I'm going to do a little bit of research, see if I can figure out what the actual rules are, if there are any. Because, see, most of the rules are controlled by each party. The political parties write the rules as to how you get on their ballot. And they control that right up until the moment they hand it off to the individual secretaries of state. So we're facing a little bit of uncharted territory, but hey.
But I thought you could always write in. I mean, there's been elections before where you could, you didn't like the candidate, you could write in who you wanted.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying that's not true. That could be true. I'm going to find out what the rules are on that, And it was it Sherry or Cheryl?
Amazing. Wouldn't it be amazing if at say after this is say June, people just said, okay, that's enough. We've had enough, and we started a list and we want this person and this person, and then write it in on the ballot. And what if they won?
Hey,
that would be
crazier.
cool.
Crazier things have happened. We're in a time where a Twitter flash mob, or an Instagram, can determine the outcome of elections in other countries. Why not here, where we invented those things? Anyway, was it Sherry or Cheryl? I just want to be accurate.
Sherry, Cherie, Shari.
Cherie. Cherie, thank you for your call, and thanks for listening to the Tim Donnelly Show.
Thank you.
Sure. Some great points raised. I'm going to go get another call before we go to the break. Hey, welcome to the show. Give me your first name and city, please. Oh, well, it looks like I lost the other caller. So let's go ahead and take the break. And if you want to call back, 323-746-TALK. Hey, you heard it here on the Tim Donnelly Show. I am proud of the fact that people that might mightily disagree with me on many issues feel comfortable listening to the show and even calling in, because, look, how do you have a discussion? How do you have a great debate if you can't even talk to each other? Speaking of callers, I'm going to go to John from North Carolina. John, welcome to the show.
Good evening, sir.
And how are you?
Eat dinner and watch. I'm wonderful. How are you?
I couldn't be better.
Cool.
You're getting ready to watch the big show, right? The great debate.
Oh yeah, I'm going to watch. I'm going to watch it. Yeah.
Now you're one state over.
I'm one state north. Yes, sir.
How far would it have been if you wanted to drive down there and go shake Donald Trump's hand? How far? Or Ted Cruz. I know you're a Cruz man.
Yeah, well, my wife loves Charleston. It's about 7.5 hours. We actually took a cruise out of there, and we actually went down there a couple of years ago and just hung out for 4 or 5 days. So it's a beautiful city. It really is.
Yeah, I love
it's
Charleston.
About 7.5 hours. Yeah.
Yeah, I have an aunt who lives there, and my dad lives in Lawrence, South Carolina, which is about an hour south of Greenville.
Okay. Yeah, Greenville, South Carolina. Yep.
Yeah, so we've got strong roots there. But did you watch any of the undercard debate? Because I heard it was there were three characters. You had Carly, Mike Huckabee, and Senator Rick Santorum. Rand Paul ejected himself from the debate. Not quite sure what his theory is on that or what his strategy is.
Right.
Kind of hard to be in the game if you're outside looking in through the window.
Yeah, I think he just took his balls and went home. He didn't want to participate. He didn't want to, he thought that was a beneath him. I think that's my opinion.
Well,
but
that's. It seems like it's about time for some people to get out of the race. We're
big time. Yeah, I think you're going to see a lot drop here in the next 30, 40 days. I really do. Or at least they should.
Yeah, they should. Yeah, what people should do and what they do are two different things.
Yeah, two different things, exactly, yeah. But it's like the previous caller said. She might as well write in Joe the plumber. You remember that ordeal?
Yep.
I could write myself in. Doesn't mean everybody is going to vote for me or Tim Donnelly. I mean, we could all write ourselves in, but
there have been write-in campaigns that have worked, but they require a lot of publicity. They require complicity from the media, and of course, on the Democrat side, we know we'll see that. If the Democrats are in trouble, the media might. Here's the other thing. Let's say the Democrats bend the rules and let Joe Biden or Elizabeth Warren or both of them in the race, right? Mm-hmm. The media is not going to criticize that. The media is going to praise that. So everybody who is going to work, coming home, turning on the news, they're just going to, oh, well, that's the story, because they were told, because Walter Cronkite, whoever that is today, said it. I guess it's not Brian Williams anymore.
No, it can't be. But I don't know. Man, I lost my train of thought. What was I going to say?
Well, let me ask you a question while you're trying to find your train of thought. What do you expect to come out of tonight's debate?
Well, there's a young lady challenging the Arizona Senator, John McCain. I heard her earlier on another show.
Dr. Kelly Ward. No,
exactly.
See, we don't talk about hearing her on another show. You heard her in August on this show because I brought her to you early. Come on.
Okay, my apologies, but that's what I wanted to get at because I'm big on these term limits because it's for the people by the people. There's too many career politicians to get too comfortable inside the Beltway. They think they can do what they want to do. They listen. We need to get back to basics, is what I'm saying. We need to get back to people that represent the people, the blue collar workers or the white collar workers. I don't care, but we need to get back to looking after America, people that live, work, and make this world go round. And it's not happening, and that's why there's such an uprise. I think. For Trump. I mean, I told you before, I'm going to vote for Cruz in the primary, but I'll tell you what, if Trump is on the ticket, he's my guy.
Well, you heard my conversation earlier with Sherry, who it sounds as if she is a Democrat because she wants to vote for Bernie Sanders, or she was considering Hillary Clinton, doesn't like Hillary. But now it's Bernie Sanders or what's his name, Joe Biden, right? When I mentioned Trump, she said, there's a lot of people. Trump's saying what a lot of us are feeling, and I thought, wow, how unusual is it in a country as polarized as we are to hear somebody of the opposite party saying something positive about the most outspoken and so-called extreme representative of the other party.
Yeah, exactly.
That tells you that we're somewhere in a wilderness that nobody knows where the path is.
Yeah, it's the socialists versus the capitalists. Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
And I've asked you before, what makes these people tick? And I love that piece you had last night on Evan Say It. It kind of gets me a little bit closer to where I understand the way they think, but it still boggles my mind. Why do they want to do it? I understand what they're doing. Now I just can't understand why they're doing it.
They've been indoctrinated. I don't think many of them understand why they do it. Because if you asked them, they couldn't explain it. They could not explain it to you in simple, articulate language.
Yep.
Because once you start actually thinking, you can't be a leftist. You can be a liberal. I disagree with Evan Say It on the definition of a liberal, because I believe liberal always to be classic liberal. And you could call me a classic liberal because I'm very, very against government being involved in my life. I want it out of my life completely. And I don't make other people's behaviors or lifestyle choices my problem. And I don't want to use the government to stop them from whatever they're doing that I might not agree with.
Yeah. Because I loved it when he said, once you start thinking it's the last day, you're a liberal.
Well,
that was a pretty good line.
Evan Say It says it better than I can, which is why I had him on, why I played his clips. We need to play like a segment a week from Evan, just from his videos, because there's a great deal of learning there. And you noticed when I had him on, I didn't have to ask a lot of questions because he is just a brilliant articulator.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he just kind of spews out what everybody wants to know.
Yeah, he's got the answers and he knows how to deliver it, and it was pretty amazing. Anyway, well, enjoy your dinner, Enjoy the show, and call us
will.
back tomorrow and tell us what you think.
All right, very good, excellent, and and I'll talk to you tomorrow night. But definitely, that Saturday the 16th gun show sounds really, really fun. I wish.
We're gonna have fun. We're gonna have so much fun on Saturday.
Sure
I'm sorry you're not gonna be there,
13,
John.
13 hours is going to be one I will attend. I will see that movie.
Yes.
Take care.
And we're going to see it. We're going to see it on Saturday. Anyway, have a good night, and we will continue here. Obviously, I'm not making a big deal out of the GOP debate because they've had a million of them. We did that before. I don't look. My expectations are nil. I expect Trump will be even more commanding than he's been. He learns very quickly from his mistakes. I've noticed that. And Cruz, I think, is the one who's got to make a play for that top spot. I don't see anyone else in contention. Rubio, he can't get past the immigration hawks in the Republican Party, and he can't get past the immigration hawks in the Democrat Party. They won't have him. So he's dead on arrival for this election. He could rehabilitate himself at some point and maybe come back and run at some future point. But he's got to prove that he's not an amnesty guy. And right now, that's what everyone thinks. Anyway, 323-746-TALK. We'll take your calls and run. We got some more stuff, great stuff for you before the big show starts. So stay tuned. It'll be here much too soon for Hillary Clinton. The way things are going, she probably doesn't want to hear this song. We've got a clip from Megyn Kelly of the 13 Hours movie, which, by the way, is coming out tomorrow. So don't stop thinking about tomorrow. And make sure, if you're going to go see a movie this weekend, go see 13 Hours. Go support those who gave a damn enough to tell the story of these insanely brave Americans who gave their lives in an attempt to save others because our government failed them. There's another F word I want to use, but I can't on air, but I think you're following my drift. Anyway, Megyn Kelly last night, after the premiere of the movie 13 Hours, interviewed Tyrone Wood's father and brother. His brother's name's Jeremiah, and also the mother of another individual who was killed there. And her name is Pat Smith, and she was very, very upset at Hillary. You'll hear it in the clip. Anyway, here we go.
In that attack. Patricia Smith is the mother of Sean Smith, who was killed in that attack. And we are also joined by Charles Woods, the father of Tyrone Woods, who was killed in that attack, along with Tyrone's brother, Jeremiah. Thank you all so much for being here with me tonight. Pat, I'll get to you in one moment. I'll start with Charles and Jeremiah. First, I know you were all at the premiere last night. Your reaction to it, Charles?
Well, from the very beginning, I felt like probably anyone else that lost a loved one. You want to be there at the moment that they die. You want to be at their side. You want to know what they were going through. And I had always wanted to talk with one of the men that was with Ty. I was able to do that both before and after the premiere. And I really wasn't ready for what I saw on the screen. I'd read the book. I thought I was prepared. But when I actually saw my son's life being taken from him, it was very emotional. The entire family, there was 4 of us there. We were all in tears. We were hugging each other, sobbing. It was almost like I didn't want to be there, but I'm glad that I had the experience. It did add to the
healing process.
Yeah, the healing process, the closure, and it was positive. but very powerful, because this is what really happened. You know, there's a lot of smoke and mirrors that have gone out from both the left side and the right side. But these men that were with Ty, they were telling the truth. This is what actually happened.
Make no mistake about it, when you see the movie 13 Hours, you will see that Tyrone Woods emerges as an incredible hero who rallied those men and did everything in his power to try to override the orders they were being given to stand down and not go help the ambassador at the consulate. But they went. They just went too late because they were told not to. And finally, you'll see in the movie what he did. When you saw that, Jeremiah, when you see your brother depicted in the heroism that he showed and the love that the other guys felt for him, what was it like for you?
It was unbelievably touching. Like my father said, in the movie, you could absolutely tell that there was the touch of people who were actually there on the ground. You could see that their input was 100% taken by Michael Bay and the actors who were portraying it.
And we have footage of that, of the behind-the-scenes guys, the real guys, you know, Tonto and Oz and Tig telling Michael Bay, this is how it was done, this is how it went down.
Actually, it was Oz, I believe, we were talking after the premiere, and he was saying when Michael Bay was signed on for the movie, he essentially said, if you don't get this right, I'll be waterboarding you, essentially, you know, only slightly
Oz,
just, I'm
who
sure.
was very close with Ty, and we have a picture of him visiting Ty's grave. I mean, his death took its toll on you and on the men who served with him. This is that picture here. We interviewed Oz and the other two guys not long ago. I want to ask Pat, because I know you were there, and my heart goes out to you as a mother. I know how difficult it must have been for you, and you were not able to stay throughout the whole movie.
I left as soon as Sean came on screen, or the person that portrayed him. I couldn't handle it. Hillary's a liar. I know what she told me.
Oh, Pat. I know it must be so hard. So many people want to put this behind them and say, Hillary sat there and she testified. She testified for her own 13 hours, and they say it's done. They say there's no story about Benghazi, and that she did everything she could do through the fog of war, and she came right out and said she is not lying, suggesting you are the one who is lying about what happened at that Air Force base.
Bull feathers. That's just plain old bull. I know what she said, and not only did she say it, but Obama said the same thing to me, and Panetta, and Biden, and Susan Rice. I went up to all of them, begging them to tell me what happened. And they all said that it was the video, every one of them.
What's incredible, Charles, is you have contemporaneous notes. I mean, in a court of law, this is admissible if you were at that point, where you wrote down what she said. We are going to have the filmmaker arrested who was responsible for the death of my son. That's what you said at the time. When I interviewed Oz and Tig and Tonto, their first response was, who has motive to lie? Is it Mr. Woods? Is it Pat Smith? Is it Kate Quigley? Why do you think she said what she said about when they said somebody's lying? She said, it's not me.
Well, I think it will be the American people who ultimately answer that question. That's if she's able to stay out of jail. And, you know, when it comes to law enforcement agencies that are controlled by, of course, political forces, they're going to play it in the safest way possible. That's what they usually do. And they will use the excuse, well, we didn't want to interfere with the electoral process. Well, you know what? It's early enough. You need to interfere. If there's something you're going to bring out, you need to do it now or forever hold your peace, because it doesn't make any sense if there is evidence to bring an indictment against Hillary Clinton. It doesn't make sense to wait until it's too late. I mean, I don't know what would happen then. That's another question we'll have to research. What would happen if Hillary wins the Democrat nomination and is then indicted? What do you do then? Is it you just skip the election and coronate the Republican? I certainly hope not. I'm sure there's some process. Maybe there would just be an election and there just wouldn't be a candidate on the Democrat side, or maybe people could write somebody in absence of a viable candidate. We'll have to find that out. Anyway, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with the final segment here, pre-debate, in preparation for the big show tonight. South Carolina GOP debate. So not only does Obama think there are 57 states in the Union, he thinks the Union is 250 years old. He was giving a speech yesterday, he or the day before, I don't know, but it was the day after he gave the State of the Union, so it must have been yesterday. And he was in Omaha, Nebraska, at a university. It's funny, Obama only goes to go talk to college kids, which hey, that's great, but you know, they're among the least informed, at least politically, and certainly gullible, but they didn't fall for his 250-year-old country. Give it a listen.
True when you hear folks talking about how America is so weak. We aren't just the strongest economy in the world, we are far and away the most powerful nation on the planet. Nobody can match our troops. Nobody can match what we can do to mobilize to solve problems around the world. And when I said that, by the way, last night, it was strange that some in the chamber didn't agree and applaud with that. I mean, you know, that's kind of a weird thing. I didn't say that it's the strongest in the world because of me. I mean, I understand why they wouldn't want to give me credit for it, which is true. It's because the United States of America for 250 years has been working to make us the strongest, but that should not be a controversial statement.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, we can all clap about that.
Yeah. Shouldn't be controversial. You should know how old the country is that you've been president of for 8 years. The guy runs into trouble when he's off the what do you call it, teleprompter. Yeah, thank you. My engineer yelling in my ear, teleprompter, like I need one. Sometimes I think I do, but look, it's I don't think that January 20th, 2017 can come fast enough for most Americans. If you're an American, you've been paying attention. 8 years of Obama is 800 years too many. It just feels like it has been an eternity. And I am looking forward to it coming to an end. There was an interesting coverage of a recent Trump campaign. He had a couple of young kids called the USA Freedom Kids. They performed a song to the tune of Over There. And I kind of like the lyrics. I'm going to read them to you. Cowardice. Are you serious? Apologies for freedom? I can't handle this. When freedom rings, answer the call. On your feet, stand up tall. Freedom's on your shoulders, USA. Enemies of freedom, face the music. Come on, boys, take them down. Because the Donald Trump knows how to make America great. Deal from strength or get crushed every time. Over here, USA. Over there, USA. Freedom and liberty everywhere. Oh, say, can you see? It's not so easy. But we have to stand up tall and answer freedom's call. USA, USA, USA. We're the land of the free and the brave. USA, USA. The stars and stripes are flying. Let's celebrate our freedom. Inspire proudly. Freedom to the world. Ameritude, USA. American pride, USA. It's attitude. It's who we are. Standing up tall. We're the red, white, and blue. Fiercely free, that's who. Our colors don't run, no siree. Over here, USA. Over there, USA. Freedom and liberty everywhere. Oh, say, can you see? It's not so easy, but we have to stand up tall and answer freedom's call. Now, I'm sure it sounded better with the kids singing it. But, you know, his campaign has the components that I believe Americans are looking for. First of all, he's angry enough. Second of all, they believe that he will, how do I say this with two cuss words in a row without using them? He will F things up, let me say that, in Washington, D.C., and things need to be effed up in Washington, D.C. in a big way. And nobody else is really making the case. Now, they may have plans. They may have intentions. They may be completely sincere. I believe Ted Cruz is completely sincere. And if Ted Cruz became president, I think this country would be better off. If any of the Republicans, except for Bush, and Bush became president, then we would very likely be better off than we would if we had a Democrat. I think you could make that case. But there's something about Donald Trump that it's reaching into people's souls. It's touching their American spirit, and it's igniting this fire of patriotism, this fire of people who have been forgotten and left behind. People who built this country. People who got up every morning and worked hard and played by the rules and then got left behind and got screwed over and thrown out. And of course, they're little people. When they come together and they unite behind a leader, then they can have some effect. But these are people who don't belong to a union because there is no union for ordinary Americans. There just isn't. And there's not been anybody really representing them since maybe Ronald Reagan. I know George Bush was pretty good on some stuff. I love what he did in terms of the way that he treated the troops, the way that he stood up on 9/11, and the way that he went and quietly visited injured soldiers and never asked for any television coverage or anything else. He was a good man that way. I had major disagreements with him on other things like our border. But when I see the rise of Donald Trump, what I see in it is the rise of America. I see Americans coming together, putting aside their differences, putting aside what divides them, and pulling together to do something. They're pulling together to make America great again. They're pulling together despite their differences on a whole host of issues because they love this country. And the media can make fun of Trump supporters. They can ridicule and demonize and say whatever they want. But in the end, the supporters of Donald Trump are America. They're people from every walk of life. They're rich and poor. They're black and white. They're Hispanic and Asian. They're everything. But most importantly and most significantly, they are Americans. They're people who in their heart and soul would give their lives for this country. And some have put their lives on the line. And they believe that Donald Trump will get in that White House and stand up for them. It's going to be a very, very interesting debate tonight. So tune in. We'll bring you all the coverage that you need to know. Thanks to Sean McNeil, my chief engineer, all of our sponsors, and you. God bless you, and Godspeed. Tim Donnelly Show out.